A Lord's Hall is something to behold, especially a Lord's Hall whose owners have changed. Vladimir was admiring the structure of Sargot, the city that they had captured. One of many to come, no doubt. Fine food, guards a fine chair, which drew him in. Maybe the sort of thing he would sit on one day. It was a place where he felt comfortable. Something he could get used to. But there was not time for this. There were wars to be waged. Yo everyone. Vladimir was in over his head in these wars, it seemed. Sargot had been retaken as they took Talavel Castle, and Talavel Castle may very well even be taken back again. But it seems they made one key mistake. Didn't even add a garrison. Vladimir knew he didn't need to do anything with this one. Sargot was theirs again. And it had not been difficult. It seemed the Vlandians were not that powerful at the moment. They were indeed sieging down Talavel again. Until some silly Willy decided to engage. Alas, Talavel Castle was taken, and Vladimir was most displeased that the army walked right by. That was until he heard where they were going. A bold move unlike anything else, crossing the entire Vlandian countryside to siege down another town. It took some time, but indeed, they did end up north at Rovold, ready to take yet another place for the Battanians. Vladimir had been waiting. Vladimir was ready. In his promoted garb, a better blade, a fine helmet, a quality bow. He was ready. Ready to not get struck by catapults at the very least. Although not everybody was going to be able to avoid that fate. He would thin out the enemy archers as much he could, staying alive and crushing the spirits of the enemies. But this castle, this town, their defenses were much better. More siege equipment, more rocks instead of wood. It was not that good to fight against. How would their siege equipment get there on time with so many boulders going their way? It was demoralizing to see so many men crushed to death. Crash, bang, crunch, crush. And Vladimir was not getting the kills on any of these men. He was merely wounding them. Except for that one. That one he killed for sure. Whilst Vladimir did not want to be out in the open, he had no intention of being far enough away for the catapults to reach him. He would rather brave the arrow fire of the men on the walls. Such was something he could shrug off later by consuming the blood of his enemies. But a big fat boulder on his noggin, well, that was another story. Even so, it seems that the siege tower had made its way. And now it was time to take the fight to them in the flesh. Don't ask me how he's sucking the blood of people by shooting his arrows. I don't know. It's magic, I suppose. Getting out the big blade and crawling up the ladder. They still weren't all sure how to crawl them, or maybe they were afraid. But this was no time to be afraid. It was a time to get into the fray! Or stand close by getting ready to get into the fray whilst everybody else was blocking the path. It was a throng of madness. How could anybody fight in this? Were they being pushed back? Were we being pushed back? Nobody knew what was going on. There was too many of everything. Vladimir could not even stay back. He had to be pushed into the Vladimirs. It was insane. He couldn't get through the shields. And it was not long before he was pushed the hell off. My goodness. That was a sinister thing by his fellow Battanians. Pushing him off, he decided that clearly the other spot must be superior. He was right. They had come a lot further than the other side had. And Vladimir did not intend to be betrayed again. It seemed all these men had lost their balls because they were not stopping the catapult right above them from slaughtering their brethren. And thus, Vladimir was down. He managed to defeat one of them, but due to his low health from the betrayal at the siege tower, he did not stand a chance with his inferior skills up close one-on-one. Luckily for him, the idiocy of his fellow men did not cause them to lose. Their numbers were too high. Even as they retreated to the keep, made no difference. The Battanians had succeeded. Yet another city had fallen to Battanian supremacy. And next was a castle. Turby Castle, right next door. Could the Vladians do nothing to stop the Battanians' onslaught? It would seem there was no stopping them, as yet another settlement was to be absorbed. They had some defenses, but it seemed to be ballistae. Nothing as violent and as deadly as the catapults of the previous siege. The arrows would fly for Battania this battle. Perhaps he could find purchase on this ballistae man. Oh, that he did. Right into his skull. He could stop the man, and he would give his best. He was going for him. It was a race. Who was going to kill who first? Another shot. And there we go. Another ballistae man in the dirt. It seemed that few men were standing on that side of the wall. And Vladimir did not know why. But now he understood. Men were hogging the wall spot. The wall spot, in fact, had a hole where the siege tower was going. And the front gate was crushed! It was time to ditch the bow and get into action. There was no way Vladimir was ascending anything this time. He was not gonna leave it to chance. The gate was open. It was time to swarm in. So many on both sides, rushing in. But Vladimir had no intention of getting lost in the throngs. He was going to get after these reinforcements and ensure that Battania would win. People were hiding in the dark. It was difficult for Vladimir to see. They had the fort. It was theirs.
We won! We won! Victory!
Yes, victory. And so Turby Castle also fell. Televille Castle had been taken back. And another army was nearby. And, well, it seems that despite the Vlandians' inability to master a central force, they were still trying. But they were not trying very well. The Vlandians were mustering small forces. Free target practice for the young Vladimir. And here it was. Time to rush in. No bow this time. Time to crush at the enemies retreating behind their shields. Showing them what true Battanian supremacy is all about. crushing them in their little pathetic circle, and getting crushed in between them and ally soldiers, of course, because why would they not? There was now so few men left. Where had all of Lenin's men gone? Were they truly that weak? Had they all just been killed? They must have, for their numbers had disappeared, dwindled, just a throng of Battanians following them. Poor Vlandians, merely peasants remained, all getting hunted down like something that gets hunted down in mass. En masse? Yes. Awful stuff. Luckily, despite that sad victory, Rovolt had a tournament going on to celebrate their new owners. And that was something that Vladimir wanted to partake in. But he was not allowed. How bizarre! Yet another garrison would fall to Battanian supremacy. The peaceful sounds of battle cries. It was glorious. Campaigning around during war can be tiring. It can be difficult, full of physical exertion, but Brannock, he knew that he had a super soldier on his hands because he promoted Vladimir once again. Whilst he had grown comfortable with the bow and preferred it over many things, the amount of armor he would really have using one was much less than if he decided to choose another path. As such, he went with the equipment that would keep him alive the longest and keep him the strongest. Whilst fighting with the safer weapon was exciting, it was time for Vladimir to focus more on surviving those brawls, getting strong, powerful. Whilst they had traveled much and done much battle, then it was they found a large group of enemies. But were they all peasants? Could they fight back against the Battanian barbarians? Brute power? Time would tell. And time was on Vladimir's side, or something, as they were gonna rush in and make short work of these noodle boys. Oh, as Vladimir thought so, a barrage of arrows came striking down at them. And it seemed they halted. Oh no. They stood still. They cannot take arrow fire like this. Men, come on. Think of your wives. Go forward. Oh, and the cavalry came in, rushing into the line that was going forward. And they were running away with their legs between their tails. Huh? Yes, exactly. That's how that goes. Even though the arrow fire was deadly, it seemed that more Vlandians were losing their lives. Time to go to work. Flanking time. Smacking time. The one-handed weapon was not Vladimir's favorite. Oh dear. He was being cornered. Time to back off. Assist him. Assist Vladimir. Damn it. These allied soldiers, useless bastards, are not doing anything. Nothing to save Vladimir at the very least. Luckily, his armor is rather good now. Healing up on these poor peasants. Smack! Smack noodle. Whack! Whammo! Hey, that's not loud. Hey. Whammo. Whammo! As such, the enemies were put into retreat. Some of them at least. Ah, that was Vladimir's. They had been routed. There was nothing left of the Vlandians that would defy the Battanians. Covered in blood and guts, Exactly what he wanted. Much time had passed. Many battles fought. Blades clashing. Spears clashing. Arrows flying. But the army had dissolved now, despite the war ongoing. But Vladimir could not rest. Even as the army was over, he needed stuff. He decided to train with the troops. And he would train in melee. He needed to become the most powerful wielder of two-handed weapons the Battanians had ever seen. And it didn't matter how bad his technique had to be. He just needed to be strong, and fast, and agile, and capable. He was going to be all of those things. This man was not going to beat him at all. Big fat man. He had no chance against Vladimir. How was this man going to defeat Vladimir? How? By Vladimir being stupid. And the man having 1,000,000 health, of course.
Days later.
Now standing his ground, Vladimir was willing to pummel this man to the edges of his capabilities. Smash, whack. You will not stand against him, Vladimir thought. He did not need to move. He was just going to onslaught this man down into the ground. Yield before Vladimir, man. Not the time. Indeed. That man was going to be sore. This man had armor, though. Is this something that Vladimir could deal with? Was it he knew how to block? Something, everything needs to be. If Vladimir was ever going to become the ultimate soldier, he needed to be able to stand toe-to-toe with anybody, everybody, even with armor, even without moving! Block. 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 Oh, no, miss. Block. Strike. Ah. Blocking was still something he needed to practice. And so he would. Side note, I feel like this is very nice to just actually get in some proper practice against opponents. And you can choose what weapons you want to use. It's fine. A fourth opponent broken! And the next one was hiding. It was time to call it a day. All that training had given Vladimir more strength and power. Should he kill mounts, or should he crush shields? Mounts could be ignored for favor of attacking who was riding on top of them. The war was over. Vladimir had sought peace with Battania, and their request was granted. A moment's reprieve from the travesties of war, battle, death, destruction. Vladimir took some time to visit a nearby village. He had grown into quite the skilled warrior, a deadly killer, a murderer of enemies. But he shouldn't forget why this is important. Even if he has a deep, dark secret in his body, and he seeks to consume the life force of others, the peasantry, the farm animals, the horses, the villagers, they all deserve peace. Peace under Battania. Vladimir was so close now to becoming the highest rank of soldier one could hope to become. And after that, who would know what was in store for Vladimir? But what he knew was, whatever was gonna happen, he would gain this rank, and he would impress the lords and ladies of Battania, especially the royal family. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.